10 countries that hate China. 1. Japan. Japan and China have a long history of animosity, including several Sino-Japanese wars during World War II, Japanese-occupied China. Today, the biggest dispute between the two countries is the fate of the Senkaku and Gyōyu Islands, which both countries claim as their own. Japan sees China as a threat to its security in the South and East China Seas. It's worth noting that 87% of Japanese have an unfavorable view of China. Number 2 is Bhutan. Bhutan does not maintain diplomatic relations with China despite sharing a 300-mile border. There have been territorial disputes between the two countries, and Bhutan has granted asylum to thousands of Tibetans. Bhutan is also closely aligned with India, which is another foe of China. Number 3 is the United States. The standoff between these two powers is well known. America is concerned about Chinese expansion in the region, while China dislikes America's support for Taiwan. The two countries have been locked in a trade war for years and both regularly engage in power projection and various military exercises in the region. It's worth mentioning that 83% of Americans have an unfavorable view of China. Number 4 is Vietnam. China has attacked Vietnam in the past, leading to lasting hostility between the two countries and a still powerful force in Vietnamese society. Vietnam sees China as a regional bully, and they have ongoing disputes in the South China Sea. China often disrupts Vietnamese offshore fishing operations. Number 5, Australia. 87% of Australians have an unfavorable view of China. China is seen as a constant threat to Pacific stability, and Australia has accused China of mishandling the COVID-19 pandemic. Australia has also shown support for Hong Kong's pro-democracy protests and has banned Huawei from its 5G network. In response, China has imposed trade restrictions on Australian exports. Number 6, Sweden. Swedes have the least favorable view of China in Europe, with 85% of Swedes viewing China unfavorably. Sweden prides itself on its human rights record and has been critical of the Chinese government. In 2015, China detained Guy Minhai, a Swedish-Chinese publisher who was vocal about his criticism. In 2019, Sweden awarded Guy a literary award for persecuted writers. In 2020, Sweden banned Huawei and ZTE from its 5G network. Number 7, India. India and China have been neighbors and have had several conflicts, but they also strive for peace and regional dominance. 67% of Indians have a negative view of China. India sees itself as a bulwark against Chinese influence in Bhutan and Nepal. Number 8, South Korea. 77% of South Koreans express a dislike of China. China is seen as an ally of North Korea, which alone is enough to make it unpopular in South Korea. Additionally, Seoul is concerned about Chinese littoral influence. South Korea uses THAAD, a U.S.-made missile defense system, to monitor launches inside China. Beijing argues that THAAD undermines China's security. Number 9 is China's security. Number 9, Vatican City. In China, Catholicism is only permitted under state supervision. All worship must be conducted through state-approved churches that belong to the Catholic Patriotic Association. It doesn't accept the primacy of the Bishop of Rome. The Holy See was banished from China in 1950, and they currently have no significant relations. Number 10 is Canada. In 2018, Canada arrested Meng Wanzhou Huawei CFO, which led to China detaining 2 Canadian citizens, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, on charges of espionage. China also imposed trade sanctions on some Canadian products. As a result, 79% of Canadians now have an unfavorable view of China, and animosity between the two countries has escalated in recent years. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe for more videos.